When Google started off with their Nexus lineup, the major focus was on providing the best Android experience on a smartphone. Since then, the Pixel series has evolved into being more of a premium offering, providing the best Google experience with all their machine learning algorithms and AI goodness. While the Pixel 3 follows up on the same principle and offers the best of Google's ecosystem along with the best smartphone cameras, there are certain areas where I wish Google did a better job. Does that refrain me from using the Pixel 3 XL as my daily driver? Let's find out, coming up next on TechPeepee.com. Hey guys, this is Sumukh from TechPeepee, and I've been using the Pixel 3 XL for a couple of weeks now, and while there are some quirks which really annoy me while using this phone, a few factors just don't allow me to let go of this device. Before I dive deeper into them, as deep as that notch at the top, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified each time we upload a new video. That being said, let's Pixel peep. The first thing that anybody who picks up this device would notice is that notch. There are a ton of devices with the notch that have come out this year, right from the budget segment to flagships, but this one is oddly deep and eats up into a lot of screen real estate. Hey, I know they had to put in two front-facing cameras, a front-firing speaker and all that, but I'm sure there was a workaround to not make it look like a bathtub. That's what most of you call it, right? Well, I could still deal with it if at least the bottom went all the way down till the edges like the iPhone X or XS, but then Google wanted to retain the front-firing speakers, and this is where there might be some conflict of interest. I mean, at least for me, bottom-firing stereo speakers are a decent compromise over the thick chin and that notch. What about you? Would you rather have a bottom-firing speaker with an all-display front or front-firing speakers with a thick chin? Here is a link to the poll, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section as well. My guess is Google weren't able to curve the OLED panel like Apple, so instead of just having a plain bottom chin and giving an excuse, they probably decided to throw in the front-firing speaker and say, hey, we've used the bottom chin constructively. Or you get what I'm saying, right? Anyhow, let's move on from cosmetics and jump to the battery life. The Pixel 3 XL has a 3400 mAh battery, and when coupled with a huge 2K display, I honestly didn't have a lot of expectations with regards to the battery life. But I was pleasantly surprised. I used the phone with always on display and LTE on all the time, and I was easily getting through a day, which was impressive. And then the realization struck. We conducted the speed test between the Pixel 3 XL and the OnePlus 6, which you can find here, and we noticed that the Pixel was reloading more than 50% of the apps, and that can be linked to the 4GB RAM on board, along with aggressive battery optimization from Google. If that wasn't enough, adaptive battery on Android Pie further kills apps which you don't use too often, adding insult to injury. Disable it and battery life takes a hit, so you need to take a call between having apps in memory and extended battery. This can get really annoying if you play a lot of games and run apps simultaneously, and this is the reason why Google should have gone with at least 6 GB of RAM rather than relying too much on the software optimization. What's not optimized, however, are some software inconsistencies. In the recent apps menu, for example, the Clear All button is placed to the extreme left of all your running apps panes, meaning you'll have to scroll all the way just to clear all your apps at once. And then there are some features that simply do not work for some reason, like the overview selection feature, which was introduced with Pi, wherein you can select text or images from the multitasking menu itself, but enabling it unfortunately does nothing. Moving on, I'm sure all of you know by now that the navigation bar has now been replaced by gestures on Android Pie, and while that's a good thing, accessing the app tray from your home screen now requires 2 swipes or a long swipe up, which is just not intuitive enough, even though it's easier to launch your frequently used apps while multitasking now. The accidental touch rejection is horrible as well, meaning if you type using one hand on this device, chances are you'll end up tapping some keys unintentionally on the edges with your palm. The software, to say the least, needs to be worked upon. Finally, the most controversial, most talked about, most hyped exclusion, the headphone jack. The Pixel 2 didn't have it, the Pixel 3 obviously doesn't either. Also, it looks like Google has some proprietary thing going on with their Type-C to 3.5mm dongles, which means if you plug in third-party adapters, it'll throw you an error. The included Type-C Pixel buds have a very muffled sound signature, which I didn't seem to like at all, so that doesn't help the cause either. Alright, looks like I've ranted too much. So now let me tell you why despite having these issues on the Pixel 3, I would still rock this phone as my daily travel. Yeah, all of you know what it is. I even spoke about it in the intro. It's those cameras. I'm not going to go over the specs and megapixel count of the camera, but I'll share my experience instead. If I have to cut straight to the chase, the cameras on the Pixel 3 are fabulous. Both the rear and front-facing shooters are exemplary and they just get everything so right irrespective of the lighting situation. The blurring algorithm is spot on, and be it colors, dynamic range, details, the Pixel 3 nails every single aspect. The wide-angle selfie lens just adds cherry on the cake if you wish to fit in more people into the frame. The HDR Plus option along with the Pixel Visual Core produce some eye-candy shots despite having to work with just a single camera, while most brands are boasting about multiple cameras and AI. On a side note, skin tones however is one area where Apple seems to get spot on, Google not so much. Enough of raving about those cameras. Is there something else to like about the Pixel 3? Well, yes. Remember how I spoke about the inconsistencies in the software? Despite those issues, what you're getting is the purest form of Android, which means there's no bloat, and Google gets to add their own nifty features since they're the one modifying both the software and the hardware on this device. Things like Screen Call, which basically lets you speak to the person calling by typing out your response and letting Google Assistant read out what the other person is saying, or Night Sight, which gives you a day and night difference, quite literally, in low light shots, along with monthly security patches and software support for up to 3 years, which means the Pixel 3 is future-proof. Now, despite having that notch and a huge chin, the 2K OLED panel on the Pixel 3 XL is extremely sharp and vivid, and while the brightness could have been on the higher side and Google could have gone with a better oleophobic coating, the display is one of the best I've seen, right up there with the Note 9 or the XS. The Pixel 3 is also IP68 certified, so it can take a dunk in the pool. There's wireless charging, the frosted glass back feels really premium, and basically what I'm trying to say is, despite all the shortcomings I mentioned, the Pixel 3 is almost there. Yes, it needs some polishing to be done and hopefully that happens soon. I wish there was more RAM, I wish it was designed better, I wish RAM management wasn't that aggressive. But hey, it's Google's flagship, it's got stellar cameras, the battery gets me through a day, it's stock Android, so guess what? I'ma keep it. Let us know your views in the comment section and give a like if you agree with what I said, and until I see you in the next one, may the tech be with you.